Hi, my name is Sallie Fellows, and I'm a state representative for Plymouth, Holderness, and Hebron. I'm running for re-election. I've lived in Plymouth and Holderness for a long time. I moved to Plymouth when I was 12 and graduated from Plymouth High School. Now I live on Mount Prospect Road in Holderness, just 2 miles from Main Street. I have a master's degree in school business administration. I've worked in school finance and administration at Plymouth State and SAU, and for 30 years at the State Department of Education. My focus at the Department of Education was data collection and analysis. This included analyzing school budgets and setting property tax rates. I also was responsible for managing several grant programs, including state adequacy aid, the biggest state aid program for school districts. This year, the state will pay out to school districts $600 million in adequacy aid. My job included working with legislators that wanted to make changes to the school funding formula. I've analyzed at least 100 changes to adequacy aid over the years. So when I retired 3 years ago, I decided to put my experience to good use by becoming a state representative. This past term, I introduced a bill to nearly double school adequacy aid. This gave me an opportunity to educate other representatives about this very complex issue. Also, this past term, the House Democrats identified more state aid to schools and lowering property taxes as one of their top priorities, and they included more money for schools in the state budget. Compared to 2 years ago, Plymouth's adequacy aid has gone from $2 million to nearly $4 million. That's a 29% increase. That means that $900,000 less will need to be raised by the property taxpayers of Plymouth this year. My other bill increased the state education property tax rebates for low-income homeowners. This bill passed the House, but unfortunately the Senate didn't have a chance to vote on it before the COVID shutdown. The biggest issue for the legislature next year will be developing a state budget. The impact of COVID will make this very difficult to estimate revenues, but I will advocate for as much funding as possible for school districts and Plymouth State. Also next year, the Supreme Court will rule on the state's obligation to pay the full cost of an adequate education. The state currently pays only 20% of what it costs to operate schools. No other state pays such a small share. I expect the courts will tell the state it must provide a lot more school aid. When this happens, I will be prepared to represent the best interests of school districts, property taxpayers, and citizens of all income levels. I will consider any revenue option proposed and evaluate it based on fairness and stability. I also will work on ways to eliminate racism and other forms of bias from state government policies and procedures. I will begin by reviewing state hiring practices, and I will advocate for making online bias recognition training available to all public employees and students. To learn more about me and my priorities, please visit my website. I hope you will vote for me on November 3rd.